Brought to you by WikiVD Documentaries. James Franco. James Edward Franco is an American actor and filmmaker known for his work in both comedic and dramatic films and TV shows. For his role in 127 Hours, Franco was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor. He is known for his roles in live-action films such as Milk, Pineapple Express, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Spring Breakers, Oz the Great and Powerful, This Is the End, Goat, and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, while also voicing characters in the animated films The Little Prince and Sausage Party.
Franco is also known for his work on television. His first prominent acting role was the lead character Daniel Desario on the short-lived comedy drama Freaks and Geeks, which developed a cult following. He also portrayed the title character in the TV biographical film James Dean, for which he won a Golden Globe Award. He had recurring roles on the soap opera General Hospital and sitcom Angie Tribeca, and starred in the 2016 limited series 11.22.63.
He will star in the David Simon-created HBO drama The Deuce in 2017. Franco volunteers for the Art of Elysium charity, and has also taught film classes at New York University, the University of Southern California, UCLA, Studio 4, and Palo Alto High School. Early life and family. Franco was born in Palo Alto, California. His mother, Betsy Lou, is a writer and occasional actress, and his father, Douglas Eugene Doug Franco, ran a Silicon Valley business. The two met as students at Stanford University.
Franco's father was of Portuguese and Swedish descent. Franco's mother is Jewish, from a family of Russian Jewish ancestry. His maternal grandfather, Daniel, had changed the family surname from Verovitz to Verne sometime after 1940. Franco's paternal grandmother, Marjorie Franco, is a published author of young adult books.
Franco's maternal grandmother, Mitzi Verne, owned the Verne Art Gallery, a prominent art gallery in Cleveland, and was an active member in the National Council of Jewish Women. Franco's family upbringing was academic, liberal, and largely secular. He grew up in California with his two brothers, Tom and Dave. A math whiz, Franco interned at Lockheed Martin. He was often encouraged by his father to get good grades and did well on his SATs. He graduated from Palo Alto High School in 1996, where he acted in plays. This led to him attending CSSSA in 1998 for theater. In his high school years, Franco was arrested for underage drinking, graffiti, and for being a part of a group that stole designer fragrances from department stores and sold them to classmates. These arrests led to his briefly becoming a ward of the state, facing the possibility of juvenile hall. Franco was given a second chance by the judge. It was teen angst.
I was uncomfortable in my own skin. I was shy. I changed my ways just in time to get good grades. He recalled of his troubles with the law. Although the idea of becoming the marine zoologist interested him, Franco had always secretly wanted to become an actor, but feared being rejected. He enrolled at the University of California, Los Angeles as an English major, but dropped out after his first year against his parents' wishes to pursue a career as an actor, since he would have had to wait 2 years to audition for their acting program. Franco instead chose to take acting lessons with Robert Carnegie at the Playhouse West. Around this time, Franco took up a late-night job at McDonald's to support himself, because his parents refused to do so.
He was a vegetarian until working there. While working at the establishment, He would practice accents on customers, an experience he remembered nostalgically in a 2015 Washington Post editorial. 1997-2001. After 15 months of training, he began auditioning in Los Angeles.
His first paid role was a television commercial for Pizza Hut, featuring a dancing Elvis Presley. He found guest roles on television shows, but his first break came in 1999, after he was cast in a leading role on the short-lived but well-reviewed NBC television series Freaks and Geeks, which ran for 18 episodes and was cancelled due to low viewership. Later, the show became a cult hit among audiences. He has since described the series as one of the most fun work experiences that he has had.
In another interview, Franco said, "When we were doing Freaks and Geeks, I didn't quite understand how movies and TV worked, and I would improvise even if the camera wasn't on me. So I was improvising a little bit back then, but not in a productive way."
After his film debut Never Been Kissed, he played a popular jock Chris in Whatever It Takes, a modern-day remake of the 1897 play Cyrano de Bergerac. He was subsequently cast as the title role in director Mark Riddle's 2001 TV biographical film, James Dean. To immerse himself in the role, Franco went from being a non-smoker to smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, bleached his dark brown hair blonde, and learned to ride a motorcycle as well as play guitar and the bongos.
To have a greater understanding of Dean, Franco spent hours with 2 of Dean's associates. Other research included reading books on Dean and studying his movies. While filming James Dean, the actor, to get into character, cut off communication with his family and friends, as well as his then-girlfriend. "It was a very lonely existence," he notes.
"If I wasn't on a set, I was watching James Dean. That was my whole thinking. James Dean. James Dean." Despite already being a fan of Dean, Franco feared he might be typecast if he'd captured the actor too convincingly. Ken Tucker of Entertainment Weekly wrote, "Franco could have walked through the role and done a passable Dean, but instead gets under the skin of this insecure, rootless young man." He received a Golden Globe Award and nominations for an Emmy Award and a Screen Actors Guild Award.
2002-2007. Franco achieved worldwide fame and attention in the 2002 superhero film Spider-Man, when he played Harry Osborn, the son of the villainous Green Goblin and best friend of Spider-Man. Originally, Franco was considered for the lead role of Spider-Man, Peter Parker in the film, though the lead went to Maguire.
Todd McCarthy of Variety noted that there are good moments between Maguire and Franco in the film. Spider-Man was a commercial and critical success. The movie grossed $114 million during its opening weekend in North America and went on to earn $822 million worldwide. He next starred in Sunny, a 2002 release in which he was directed by fellow actor Nicolas Cage, whose involvement had attracted Franco to the film. Set in 1980s New Orleans, Sunny follows the titular character returning home after just being discharged from the army. To prepare for his role, he met with sex workers, people who had previously been prostitutes. The movie was panned by critics, with the New York Post's Lou Luminick calling it an instant candidate for Worst Movie of the Year. Franco was cast as a homeless drug addict in the drama City by the Sea after co-star Robert De Niro saw a snippet of his work in James Dean. He lived on the streets for several days to better understand the subject matter as well as talking to former or still using drug addicts. He also co-starred with Neve Campbell in Robert Altman's ballet movie The Company. The success of the first Spider-Man film led Franco to reprise the role in the 2004 sequel, Spider-Man 2. The movie was well received by critics, and it proved to be a big financial success, setting a new opening weekend box office record for North America.
With revenue of $783 million worldwide, it became the second highest-grossing film in 2004. The following year he made and starred in the black comedy The Ape, and the 2005 war film The Great Raid, in which he portrayed Robert Prince, a captain in the United States Army's elite 6th Ranger Battalion. In 2006, Franco co-starred with Tyrese Gibson in Annapolis and played legendary hero Tristan in Is Older, a period piece dramatization of the Tristan and Isolde story, also starring British actress Sophia Myles. For the former, he did 8 months of boxing training, and for the latter, he practiced horseback riding and sword fighting. He then completed training for his private pilot license in preparation for his role in Flyboys, which was released in September 2006, the same month. Franco appeared briefly in The Wicker Man, the remake of the seminal horror film. Also in 2006, he made a cameo appearance in the romantic comedy The Holiday.
He again played Harry Osborn in Spider-Man 3. In contrast to the previous 2 films' positive reviews, Spider-Man 3 was met with a mixed reception by critics. Nonetheless, with a total worldwide gross of $891 million, it stands as the most successful film in the series, and Franco's highest-grossing film to date.
In this same year, Franco made a cameo appearance as himself in the Apatow-directed comedy Knocked Up, which starred Freaks and Geeks alumni Seth Rogen, Jason Segel and Mutton Star. Franco co-starred with Sienna Miller in the low-budget independent film Camille, a dark fantasy dramedy about a young newlywed couple, An Interview, where he appears in a voice-only role, both 2007 movies that were ignored by audiences and critics alike. Among his other 2007 projects were Good Time Max, which Franco wrote, directed, and starred in. The movie premiered at the 2007 Tribeca Film Festival, and centers around 2 talented brothers who take very diverse paths in life, one going on to become a doctor whilst the other sibling experiences unemployment and uses drugs.
The actor chose to cast himself in that role because it was really just a process of elimination. I was better suited for this role than the responsible surgeon.
2008-2010. He next starred in Pineapple Express, a stoner comedy co-starring and co-written by Seth Rogen and produced by Judd Apatow. Of Franco's character, Apatow said, "You tell him, okay, you're going to play a pot dealer, and he comes back with a 3-dimensional character you totally believe exists. He takes it very seriously, even when it's comedy." In her New York Times review, critic Manola Dargis wrote, "She's delightful as Saul, loosey-goosey and goofy yet irrepressibly sexy. Despite that greasy curtain of hair in a crash pad with a 0 WAF. It's an unshowy, generous performance, and it greatly humanizes a movie that, as it shifts genre gears and cranks up the noise, becomes disappointingly sober and self-serious." His performance earned him a second Golden Globe nomination, for Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy. He has stated in some interviews that he no longer uses cannabis. He was awarded High Times Magazine Stoner of the Year award for his work in Pineapple Express. In 2008 he also appeared in 2 films by American artist Carter, exhibited at the Yvon Lambert Gallery in Paris.
On September 20, 2008, he hosted the sketch comedy show Saturday Night Live, and a second time on December 19, 2009.
Franco starred opposite Sean Penn, Josh Brolin, and Emile Hirsch in Gus Van Sant's Milk. In the film he plays Scott Smith, the boyfriend of Harvey Milk. Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times, in review of the film, wrote, "Franco is a nice match for him, Penn, as the lover who finally has enough of political life."
For his performance in the film, Franco won the Independent Spirit Award in the category for Best Supporting Actor. In late 2009 he joined the cast of the daytime soap opera General Hospital on a recurring basis. He plays Franco, a multimedia artist much like himself, who comes to Port Charles. Jason Morgan.
Franco has called his General Hospital role performance art. Franco began 2010 by making an appearance on the sitcom 30 Rock where he played himself, and carried on a fake romance with Jenna Maroney in a scheme concocted by the respective agents. After appearing in the commercial successes Date Night, an action comedy, and Eat, Pray, Love, an adaptation of a novel, Franco played poet Allen Ginsberg in the drama Howl, released on September 24. The latter, about his most known poem and the trial about the work, premiered at the Berlin Film Festival and earned modest reviews. In his next project, 127 Hours, directed by Danny Boyle, Franco portrayed real-life mountain climber Aaron Ralston. It was given a limited release starting on November 5, 2010. 127 Hours centered on Ralston trying to free his hand after it became trapped under a boulder in a ravine, while canyoneering alone in Utah and resorting to desperate measures in order to survive, eventually amputating his arm. During the 5-week, 12 hours per day shoot, Franco would only leave the Gully set to use the lavatory and would read books such as academic textbooks to keep busy. Franco later called making 127 Hours a once-in-a-lifetime experience. To date, 127 Hours is one of his most well-reviewed movies and was also a commercial success, earning $60.7 million against an $18 million budget. His performance earned him universal acclaim from critics. Subsequently, he was nominated for an Academy Award, Golden Globe and SAG Award, as well as winning an Independent Spirit Award. 2011 present. On February 23, 2011, Franco made a cameo appearance on NBC's Minute to Win It, where the real-life Ralston was participating as a contestant playing for charity. After having an uncredited cameo in the opening scene of The Green Hornet, he starred opposite Natalie Portman and Danny McBride in the medieval fantasy comedy Your Highness. In the film, he plays Fabius, a prince who teams up with his brother to rescue the soon-to-be bride of Fabius. In May 2010, he was cast to star in Rupert Wyatt's $93 million budgeted Rise of the Planet of the Apes, a reboot of the Planet of the Apes series which was released on August 5. Franco starred alongside Winona Ryder in The Letter, originally entitled The Stare, directed by Jay and Anya. He was cast as a drug-addicted lawyer in About Cherry, also starring Heather Graham, which started shooting the following month in California. He dropped out of the indie film While We're Young to star in Oz the Great and Powerful, a Disney prequel to L. Frank Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Filming began in July 2011, and the film was released on March 8, 2013. He has signed to do a sequel to it. At the end of September 2010, the actor acquired the rights to Stephen Elliott's The Adderall Diaries, with the intention to adapt, direct, and star in the film. It was announced in January 2011 that the actor has planned to not only star in, but direct himself in The Night Stalker, a film version of author Philip Carlos' book about the 1980s serial killer, Richard Ramirez.
Co-screenwriter of the screenplay, Nicholas Constantine, was initially unconvinced that Franco would be right for the movie, until he learned of Franco's desire to be a director and later watched 3 of his short films, one of which featured a serial killer, ultimately confirming to the writer that the actor had a darker side. The actor also has plans to direct a film version of William Faulkner's As I Lay Dying.
The film was screened in the Uncertain Regards section at the 2013 Cannes Film Festival. In late 2013, Franco starred in This Is the End as a fictionalized version of himself stuck in a house with Seth Rogen, Jay Baruchel, Craig Robinson, Jonah Hill, and Danny McBride. Also fictionalized versions of themselves, When the Apocalypse Happens. In February 2012, Franco began shooting a film version of Cormac McCarthy's 1973 novella Child of God, which stars Scott Hayes' Lester Ballard. The film chronicles the depraved and violent impulses of the young Tennessee backwoodsman after he is dispossessed of his ancestral land. Child of God was selected in official competition at the 70th Venice Film Festival, an official selection to the 2013 Toronto International Film Festival, and an official selection to the prestigious 51st New York Film Festival. In 2013, Franco starred as the gangster alien in Harmony Korine's Spring Breakers, with Vanessa Hudgens, Selena Gomez, Ashley Benson, Gucci Mane, and Rachel Corrine.
A24 Films began a campaign in September 2013 in support of a Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination for Franco's performance. In March 2013, it was announced that Franco was set to make his 2014 Broadway stage debut in the role of George in a revival of John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men. In October 2013, Franco appeared in the music video for City of Angels by 30 Seconds to Mars. In February 2014, Franco was announced as the director and co-producer of The Disaster Artist, the film adaptation of actor Greg Sestera's non-fiction book of the same name,
which talks about the making of the film The Room. In April of the same year, Franco directed and appeared in Technicolor Sunglasses, which promoted Guckus Eyewear Collection. In December, Franco starred in the controversial Sony comedy thriller, The Interview, a film which played a central role in the real-world diplomatic relations between the United States and North Korea as they related to the 2014 Sony hacking incident. In April 2015, 2 of his projects, titled I'm Michael and True Story, were shown at the 2015 Sundance Film Festival. In I'm Michael, Franco plays a gay activist who rejects his homosexuality and becomes a conservative Christian pastor with a girlfriend. In True Story, based on a true story, Franco played Christian Longo, a man who was on the FBI's most wanted list for murdering his wife and 3 children in Oregon, and who had also been hiding under the identity of Michael Finkel, a journalist played by Jonah Hill. In 2015, Franco was cast in the lead role for the Hulu limited series 11.22.63, which is based on the novel of the same name by Stephen King. The 8-episode series premiered on February 15, 2016. In 2016, Franco co-produced and starred in King Cobra, a true story about the rise of gay pornographic actor Brent Corrigan and the murder of Brian Costas. Franco played Joseph Carrix, who was convicted of the murder. He briefly appeared in the Alien prequel, Alien: Covenant, alongside friend and frequent collaborator Danny McBride, and Michael Fassbender and Normie Rapace.
He played Branson, the captain of the Covenant ship and husband to Daniels, played by Catherine Waterston. The film was released on May 19, 2017.
Other projects. Franco produced and directed a documentary titled Saturday Night, documenting a week in the production of an episode of SNL. The film began as a short for an NYU class but grew due to his 2 episodes as host, while short stories he wrote for other classes appeared in Esquire and McSweeney's. In summer 2010, the fictional Franco from General Hospital held an exhibit at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Los Angeles, while the real Franco held an exhibit at the museum based on his experiences on the soap opera. In 2008, Franco was named as the face of Guckus Men's Fragrance line.
His short films as director The Feast of Stephen and Herbert White were both presented within Maryland Film Festival in May 2010. Another of his short movies, The Clark's Tale, was screened in competition at the Hamptons Film Festival at the end of 2010. In June 2010, James Franco presented his first solo exhibition, The Dangerous Book for Boys, presented at the Clock Tower Gallery in New York City. Curated by Alana Heiss, the show featured video, drawings, sculptures and installation. On October 19, 2010, Scribner published a collection of short stories, Palo Alto, by Franco.
The book is named after the California city where Franco grew up and is dedicated to many of the writers he worked with at Brooklyn College. Inspired by some of Franco's own teenage memories, Palo Alto, and memories written and submitted by high school students at Palo Alto Senior High School, consists of life in Palo Alto as experienced by a series of teenagers who spend most of their time indulging in driving drunk, smoking weed, and taking part in unplanned acts of violence. Each passage is told by a young narrator.
The book has received mixed reviews. Los Angeles Times called it the work of an ambitious young man who clearly loves to read, who has a good eye for detail, but who has spent way too much time on style and virtually none on substance. The Guardian said that Franco's foray into the literary world may be met with cynicism in some quarters, but this is a promising debut from a most unlikely source.
Writing in the New York Times, reviewer and fellow author Joshua Moore praised Franco for how, in the story, American History, he juxtaposed historical parts with a present-day social commentary that makes we wonder how much we've actually evolved in post-bellum America.
At least one editor of a literary journal testified he would not publish Franco's stories, claiming he has been published due to his star power, not literary talent. Publishers Weekly reviewed the collection, stating, "The author fails to find anything remotely insightful to say in these 11 amazingly underwhelming stories."
In January 2011, the actor screened his multimedia project entitled Three's Company the Drama, in which he merges video and art to update the former sitcom, at the 2011 Sundance Film Festival. Franco reunited with Milk director Van Sant to make Unfinished, a project that features 2 movies, Endless Idaho and My Own Private River.
Endless Idaho showcases edited outtakes, deleted scenes and behind-the-scenes footage from the 1991 movie My Own Private Idaho, while My Own Private River focuses on the late actor River Phoenix. The idea for the exhibition was conceived after Van Sant introduced unused footage from the 1991 film to Franco, inspiring him to turn it into something more. Unfinished opened from February 26 to April 9 at the Gagosian Gallery in Beverly Hills. On February 27, 2011, he and Anne Hathaway hosted the 83rd Academy Awards. The two were selected to help the awards show achieve its goal of attracting a younger audience.
Franco had previously said that he accepted the job for the experience and because it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Numerous media viewers criticized Franco for his discontent and lack of energy on stage, and the show was widely panned, with some reviewers dubbing it the worst telecast in its history.
The actor later spoke about his hosting in an interview on The Late Show with David Letterman. He explained that when accepting the job he never had high hopes, adding, "It was never on my list of things to do. It doesn't mean I didn't care. And it doesn't mean I didn't try." Right? Regarding allegations that he was under the influence of marijuana while hosting, Franco commented, "I think the Tasmanian Devil would look stoned standing next to Anne Hathaway.
She has a lot of energy." He concluded that he tried his best and could have had low energy during the telecast. A few months later, he continued talking about the hosting gig at an interview for Playboy. There he said he told a producer, "I don't know why you hired me. Because you haven't given me anything. I just don't think this stuff's going to be good." He also said he felt kind of trapped in that material and that there was no way out. He also admitted to a post-ceremony fight on Twitter with longtime Oscars writer Bruce Vilanch, when Vilanch intimated that the busy actor appeared less than fully committed to the job. Franco posted a photo of the two of them together to graffiti Ed saying, "James fucked up the Oscars. Trust me, I know comedy. I mean, come on, I write for Bette Midler." Franco explained to Playboy that, "I personally do not do my best thinking when I'm angry. Before Twitter, I always had that buffer period when I could actually think and decide, is this worth it? For me, Twitter is a dangerous thing." In May, Franco made his dance theater directorial debut at New York's Stella Adler Studios, where he narrated all the performances. Entitled Collage and described as a mixed-media piece, the show featured live dance, theater, music, and poetry. Tickets were free, but were distributed on a first-come, first-served basis. The actor also directed 2 short films for songs by REM from their album Collapse Into Now. Franco continued his career as a filmmaker with The Broken Tower, a 90-minute docudrama shot in black and white about poet Hart Crane, who committed suicide by jumping off the steamship SS Arizaba. It originally started out as his master's thesis. It was screened at 2011's Los Angeles Film Festival among more than 200 feature films, short projects, and music videos from more than 30 countries. It was released on DVD in 2012. Since 2012, Franco has served as a lecturer at UCLA teaching classes in the School of Theater, Film and Television. In September 2012, Franco announced the release of his band Daddy's first single Love in the Old Days, and their first EP Motor City. On March 8, 2013, Franco received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, located at 6838 Hollywood Boulevard. On July 9, 2013, Franco announced that he would be the featured roastie on the next Comedy Central roast. The roast aired on September 2, 2013. In February 2014, Franco wrote an article in the New York Times in support of the metamodernist performance art of Shia LaBeouf, describing LaBeouf's project as one in which a young man in a very public profession tries to reclaim his public persona. In April 2014, the literary publisher Grey Wolf Press issued Franco's first collection of poetry, directing Herbert White. The title alludes to a poem by Frank Biddett, who has served as friend and mentor to Franco. In September 2015, Franco announced he would be teaching an 8-part film class to high school students at Palo Alto High School. The class began on September 13, 2015. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVD Documentaries. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.